welcome back to our series on the 8 short preludes and fugues. And today we've reached number 6, the G minor one, which really is my favourite of the set. I think that it's probably the best written of them all. I said of the E minor one that also was one of the best. And I see quite a lot of common ground between the two. And as I think I've hinted before, I find it rather difficult to believe that the composer of this work was the same composer as that of, say, the F major or the A minor ones. But anyway, be that as it may, this is a really excellent work. Let's just have a look at one or two small details along the way. So first of all, the prelude, that's in 3/2 time, so it's 3 beats in a bar, not 6. So it wants to flow a little bit. But those broken chords, that's from bars 14 and 20 and 29 onwards, they seem to be a bit more demonstrative somehow or other, and I like to think of those few bars as 6 in a bar rather than 3 in a bar. Bar 35, where everything stops up. Well, we've spoken before about long bare chords in 18th century music, that they tend to be an invitation, if not a positive expectation, to elaborate a bit. And this place here feels almost like the precursor to a cadenza in a classical concerto. I'm not letting myself go too much here. It's not the time or the place to do that, but I'll just loosen it up a little bit and add a little bit of extra decoration. You know, in our time, we have this extreme reverence for the printed note. To be a good performance, all the notes have to be precisely as notated on the page. And that's something of a modern philosophy. I think 18th century musicians would probably be surprised by it. The performer had a good deal more responsibility and more latitude within the prescribed limits of the understood style. Okay, let's just move along to the fugue. What a fantastic fugue this is. If you've ever tried writing a fugue, you'll know just how hard it is. Not necessarily hard to get something technically correct, but hard to get something that also sounds interesting and engaging. This fugue does both. It feels like a composer who is completely in control of what they're doing. The articulation of the fugue subject is a bit tricky. It's so easy in this fugue to end up slurring across beats, which in general is a no-no in the style. On the other hand, you would normally expect the first 2 notes of a fugue subject to belong together, not to be separately articulated. But that's really what this needs. Just a tiny lift before the second note. And of course, after the upbeat in the second half of the fugue subject, that's the 7th note, I think, to place the rhythmic emphasis on the 8th note, the following note. And the long notes, which run across the beat at the end of the theme, they need to be lightly separated as well. A really good question is how you pedal bar 40. The absolutely correct way, if we could put it like that, would be to use the right toe on those first 3 Fs, and then the left on the G, and alternate toes onwards. But to be honest, to me that feels a bit contrived. Alternately, you could use the left toe on the Fs, the right on the G, and then jump the left toe on the F and the B flat, which is correct because it's across a beat. But the movement is a bit fast at that point to do that comfortably. So all in all, it's one of those places where I perversely would use the right and left side of the right foot on the G and the F, or toe and heel if you're a fan of doing that. And you're not going to be excommunicated for doing that. So the instrument itself, well, the whole piece is designed for one manual. and we should never look down on a one manual organ, except here in this picture. And this is good enough music not to need any fancy registration. So I'm planning on using just 8 and 4s for the prelude and added 2 for the fugue, also probably with an extra pedal stop, because I'm not using a pedal coupler here. Well, there it is, and I really hope that you enjoy playing this piece.